All right. Get situated here. Get situated here. Right. Right. Everything squared away. Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Carlee Lumumba back once again, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. Back once again, hoping to have another riveting conversation regarding Carlee Russell. As we know, she's the sister from Alabama. Shout out to the Heart of Dixie, the Yellowhammer State, who became well known overnight for, at one point, what we consider allegedly um, staging her own kidnapping. And of course, we found out that she actually did stage her own kidnapping. And she was sentenced to 1 year in jail today. And so the question we're going to ask, of course, is should the Black community care? So if you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe, like, and share. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. We definitely want to break the algorithm here on YouTube. You're watching Lumumba Speaks here, as we're going to have a conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail. And the question is, should the Black community care? We understand that and know, those of us who are in the know, right, that the criminal justice system is inherently racist at every level, local, state, and federal. And so with that being said, we know that there are numerous individuals in our community who argue, if we know that the criminal justice system is inherently racist, or let me say, inherently anti-Black, then why would you put yourself in a position to actually have to combat such a institution that many would argue you don't have to combat? There are a number of societal institutions that we must combat, education system, healthcare, etc. But that is one that many would argue we can actually avoid So we're going to unpack this. The link is in the chat, family. The link is in the description. I'll put the link in the chat momentarily, and then we can have this conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail. And should the Black community be concerned about this? I haven't actually seen any posts from any Black feminist organizations, and we know that typically is the case. There have been some who've even argued that there may be a mental health issue there. I don't know if that's the case, right? I find that a bit disconcerting, the fact that because due to how well planned and organized the issue was, but there are some who would argue that even people who have mental health issues can have elaborate schemes, so on and so forth. They call these individuals who are calculating in nature. So I'm going to hit I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to actually read the article from CNN regarding Carlee Russell. So it says the Alabama woman who admitted to faking her own kidnapping has been found guilty of 2 misdemeanor charges related to the case, according to CNN affiliates WBMA and WVTM. Russell pleaded not guilty to 1 count of false reporting to law enforcement authorities and 1 count of falsely reporting an incident. A judge found her guilty, and Russell was sentenced to spend a year in jail and pay nearly $18,000 in restitution, according to reports. Russell's attorney, Emery Anthony, told CNN affiliate WBTM his client asked for a verdict so they could appeal the case to a circuit court in an effort to avoid jail time. Anthony said Russell does not object to paying restitution, saying, I think anything is fair when it comes to restitution with the expenses that were done. So we have to say that it's fair. Anytime you assert restitution, it has to be proven. The amount, 17,000 and some hours spent, I would think would be fair. Anthony said his client has apologized for what she has done, and he wants to make sure her mental state is just fine. Russell staged a kidnapping in July that captured the nation's attention after she mysteriously disappeared after calling 911 to report a child walking along a highway. Officers arrived at the site and found her vehicle and personal items, but Russell was nowhere to be found. After a nearly 49-hour police search, Russell returned home and said she had been abducted, held hostage, and escaped her captors. Authorities continued investigating, and soon her kidnapping story unraveled. Police investigating the kidnapping found Russell's web searches included things like, do you have to pay for an Amber Alert, and how to take money from a register without being caught. Hoover Police Chief Nick Joseph said her phone search history also included queries for bus tickets from Birmingham to Nashville with a departure date of July 13th, the day she went missing, and searches for the movie Taken, an action film in which a woman is kidnapped by human traffickers. Russell later admitted the kidnapping was a hoax. So, with that said, family, I'm actually going to open things up, put the link in the chat. And if you want to, of course, share your thoughts on this situation and the Black community should have a care or concern regarding Ms. Russell being sentenced to 1 year. Also, I read that it stated that she agreed to be found guilty. Therefore, she can appeal and hopefully avoid jail time. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of moving parts. But I think my concern, once again, is, and of course, this wouldn't be the case for me, but there would be some who would use the excuse that, hey, this is why we shouldn't listen to Black women. This is why we shouldn't have a care, concern, or seek to protect Black women, because they do these type of things where they're just simply seeking attention rather than actually being harmed, right? I know when I heard the story, I actually believed that the case was true, that the sister actually was kidnapped while trying to protect the toddler. And I was of the mind that if I was in Alabama, she lives in the Montgomery, Alabama area, that I would have been one of the individuals that was out there helping to try to find her. So I think in a case like this, there are a lot of people who are extremely disappointed. But I guess the question would be, why would someone do something like that? Why would someone concoct a story as bizarre as arguing that they've been kidnapped only to just walk away and come back 2 hours later as if nothing happened, right? So extremely bizarre story. We know there are a number of memes, even Tooken movie posters that were created and circulated online regarding this issue. But the link is in the chat, family. If you want to tap in, we can have this conversation. As you all know, the ground rules here at Lumumba Speaks, and first and foremost, diversity of thought is welcome. So you don't have to be concerned with if you have a perspective that's different than mine, that I won't allow you to, of course, have the floor. But I do require no racial epithets of any kind will be discussed or allowed on my platform. Facts over feelings, right? So if someone comes in, provides a dissenting argument, we want to make sure that you attack the argument and not the person. We don't want to engage in ad hominems. And of course, no fundamentally false statements whatsoever. And then last but not least, our mission is to neither exonerate or vilify, but simply to challenge conventional wisdom and re-examine what has been previously accepted as fact, right? So with that being said, the link is in the chat, family. If you want to tap in, be part of the conversation, I would love to hear what you all have to say regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail. And should the Black community care? Should we have a concern? And then, of course, I think the question, the elephant in the room is, why would someone do something like this, right? We know there have been a number of cases historically where women have killed, deleted their children, right? Particularly white women delete their children and blame a black guy, right? Then it's the stress of being a single mother, etc. But this is a young lady who doesn't have a child, but to stage a kidnapping, it's just extremely bizarre. I don't understand why someone would do that, but definitely hope that you all will be able to tap in and be part of the conversation and share your thoughts on this case that, of course, we know kind of was a national sensation back in the summer. So once again, the link is in the chat, family. Tap in, be part of the conversation. We're discussing Carlee Russell being sentenced, once again, sentenced to 1 year in jail. And then the question, of course, is should, keyword, should the Black community care? Should there be a care? Should there be a concern regarding this situation? So definitely tap in, family. Want to get you all's thoughts on Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail, and should the Black community have a care and concern regarding her sentence, right? So I know there were a number of people who were extremely upset. There were a number of people who made the argument that when Black women are being the victims of kidnapping, which we do know happens, when they are the victims of sex trafficking, which we do know happens, there'll be individuals who are less inclined to believe, less inclined to put the resources and manpower behind the efforts to find one. Many even argue that it was extremely disrespectful to many Black women who have lost their lives at the hands of kidnappers and sexual assault, etc., sex trafficking, for her to actually fabricate a story. So I think that's something that we could consider and unpack as well if we have a great conversation this evening. Myself, I just my thoughts were just extremely disconcerting, unbecoming. Maybe someone with too much time on their hands, someone seeking attention. From the reports that I read, she had a boyfriend. Even the family was unaware of why she engaged in said behavior. And I think there's a video out stating that the mother actually attacked the reporter that was questioning why Miss Russell, of course, her daughter, engaged in said behavior. So there's a lot to unpack here. And I think there's even a lot to unpack regarding typically, and unfortunately, when Black women are the victims of kidnapping or sexual assault or sex trafficking, and there's not a lot of media, fanfare, or resources put behind finding them. We know that's one of the major issues when we talk about the difference between the experiences of Black women and American and white women. There tends to be a situation in which numerous resources are exhausted to actually try to find white women and bring them to safety. But in this case, there were numerous resources and man I was put in to try to find Miss Russell. And then, as we stated before, all of a sudden she pops up and walks home. So, and then I think the report stated that during that time, she actually was staying in the hotel and checked into the hotel under an alias, right? A pseudonym. So a lot to unpack. Like I said, family, the link is in the chat. Definitely hope you all could tap in, be part of the conversation as we unpack Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail. And of course, the question is, keyword should, the Black community care, right? Should the Black community care? Should the Black community have a care concern? We understand the manner in which the carceral state adversely affects Black life. When we're talking about individuals in the community who are on prison probation or parole. But this is a situation I think is extremely bizarre and very hard for me to wrap my head around, but definitely would love to hear what you all have to say. Once again, the link is in the chat, family. And if you're nervous about tapping in, as you know, you do not have to cam up. You do not. Keyword, you do not have to use your actual name. You could use a pseudonym, but definitely would love for you all to tap in and be part of the conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year, keyword 1 year in jail. She was charged with 2 misdemeanor counts, and I believe that she was found guilty of both counts. And both of those misdemeanor counts, which were first-degree misdemeanors, had a maximum of 6 months in prison, 6 months in jail. So 2 6-month sentences, and they're going to run consecutively, would amount to 1 year rather concurrently. So definitely hope, family, that you all can tap in and be part of the conversation. Make sure you hit the like button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share. I think this is a conversation we need to have in the community about, particularly in terms of not putting ourselves in these type of situations, right? We know we talk about these conversations all the time. Many people say it's a personal responsibility if you're conservative. If you're someone like me who was African-centered or a Pan-Africanist thinker, one would make the argument that we need to practice agency of self-determination. But this is a situation in which not only is she facing a year in jail, but she also is going to have to pay 17 or $18,000 in restitution, right? So I'm quite sure that money could have went for a new car, to help start a new business, or even, a down payment on a house, for crying out loud, right? I don't know how many mortgage payments you can make for $17,000, $18,000, but I would dare say almost 20. And that money has to go to the state. So we see this as a situation in which, for whatever the reason she engaged in said behavior, it's come back to bite her in the derriere. So these are the type of things we need to consider when we know there's a lot of young people are engaging in pranks, but these are teenagers. But she was, I believe, 25 or 26 years old. But just something I think we truly, truly need to discuss and unpack as to regarding the why did this take place. So once again, family, the link is in the chat. You do not have to cam up to be part of the conversation. You do not have to cam up to be part of the conversation. And you do not have to use your real name. You can use a pseudonym. You can use an alias. You can tap in and be part of the conversation and share with us. What do you think? What is the why regarding why this took place, right, with Carlee Russell? And major question is, should the Black community care? Should there be a care? Should there be a concern regarding this taking place, right? So I definitely want to hear what you all have to say, because I think this is the type of issue we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way, right? Many of us who unfortunately have been behind the wall, we know that hey, this will be a situation. She may be incarcerated. There'll be individuals who take issue with her being in there because she was trying to gain attention, and as a result, she could be done harm. So definitely hoping that we can unpack and have a great conversation. So if not, we're going to tap out, but I'm definitely going to stay here, and hopefully we get some people to come on and be part of the conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year, keyword 1 year in jail. And the question is, should the Black community care? That is the question, family. Should the Black community care regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail, right? So I definitely want to hear what everyone has to say. Want you make sure that you tap in and be part of the conversation, right? Tap in and be part of the conversation regarding should we have a care, should we have a concern regarding Carlee Russell being incarcerated, right? For the hoax. Also, we could look at discussing her having to pay restitution, right, in the amount of $17,000 or $18,000. Definitely would love to hear what the community has to say regarding this issue. And of course, we could look at the mental health aspect. Many have argued that she may be suffering from mental health, she may be having mental health issues, right? Some have argued that that's not the case because this was something that was actually planned out. But we do know that there are some individuals who have mental health issues who are calculating in nature, right? So definitely want some people to tap in, be part of the conversation, and discuss should there be a care concern in the Black community regarding Carlee Russell uh, and her being sentenced to 1 year in prison, well, 1 year in jail for her um, staged, keyword staged, kidnapping in the greater Birmingham area of Alabama. So definitely want you all to tap in, be part of the conversation, family. Don't be shy, but this is a situation I believe where we want to make sure we prevent this from happening moving forward. As we know, there are a number of issues in our community that we have to combat, and we don't want to exacerbate the issue of the ubiquitous nature of anti-Black racism by manufacturing problems that don't actually exist, right? We know that this tends to be an issue sometimes in our community where individuals manufacture problems that don't actually exist for a multitude of reasons, right? Seeking attention, maybe they're seeking to essentialize racial and gender stereotypes about Black people, but we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to prevent that from taking place. So hopefully get some people to tap in. If not, we're going to actually close out, but I'm going to stay on just a little bit longer. And the hope and desire is that we will find some people who are able to tap in and willing to be part of the conversation. So let me see if I can bring up a video regarding the situation. Give me 1 second, family. Let's see here. Kidnapping. Okay, let's see here. All right. Yeah, so it's saying 18K, not 17K, but 18K is how much she is going to be required to pay. So, all right. So I'm going to share the screen here. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
And your financial partner. Our dedicated team takes pride in going the extra mile, providing exceptional service that's more than a transaction, it's a connection. Whether you're starting a business or buying your home, we understand your unique needs. From tailored financial solutions to local decision-making, we're here to support your dreams. Robertson Banking Company, your local bank since 1870.
Let's see here. No. Oh, here we go.
This has not been without drama for sure. This entire case from the very beginning, Ben, and that continued today. An interesting hearing, this pretrial hearing for misdemeanors gaining a lot of attention. So the headlines from today in Carlee Russell's brief court appearance, Judge Brad Bishop finding the evidence sufficient for a guilty verdict, appealing Carlee Russell's legal team, appealing over the Attorney General's insistence on Carlee Russell serving jail time. Now, we had some video from earlier today. Russell, Emery Anthony, and her legal team, as well as several family members here at the Hoover Municipal Court. Again, Russell pleading not guilty. A number of things were pointed out as far as what has been agreed to and what the Attorney General's office was asking. For instance, that Carlee Russell pay $831 per charge. Also, that she pay $18,000 in restitution. But it was the 6-month jail time that the Attorney General's office is insisting upon that really sparked the appeal. Now, following today's hearing, Emery Anthony, her attorney, was asked how Carlee Russell is doing.
I think she understands what has happened. She has apologized. I know you all said not through me, but that's not good enough. But she has apologized for what transpired. I don't want her to have any type of breakdown or anything of that nature. So we're handling her with kid gloves and trying to make sure her mental state is just fine.
So everything starts all over again. Jay Town, a former federal prosecutor and legal counsel that we often use here at CBS 42, telling me that really everything starts all over, but it will start at the Bessemer Circuit Court. That's where it moves from here, and it is unlikely that that next court proceeding will happen this year, more than likely next year, if at all. In Hoover, David Lamb, CBS 42 News.
All right, family. So you saw the video. Something I think is rather interesting is that the attorney, as you saw, stated we're handling her with kid gloves, right? So many would argue there's still a push. There's an unwillingness on Miss Russell's part to finally accept accountability for her actions, right? And we, for some reason, we've seen this a number of times. I think it was the actor from what's the TV show? Um, Man, what is that TV show? Uh, Not Scandal, but it's about the music artist, Jesse Smollett, Empire, right? And we saw a situation with him faking an attack. So this is something that I think is rather curious for me, right? As African people in America, we've always been under attack. And many would argue, based on the great work of Dr. Francis West Wilson, from all areas of in all areas of human activity, we're facing anti-Black racism. This is what many call, particularly myself, the ubiquitous nature of anti-Black racism. Um, with that being said, it's a bit disconcerting that we're catching proverbial hell every time we walk outside. Many would even argue you don't have to walk outside to catch hell. When we look at issues typically like with the media, where there's a numerous, overwhelming amount of negative caricatures of what African life in America. But then to what? Then actually go out and stage an attack, right? For whatever the reason, publicity, for sympathy. There could be a number of reasons, but I find that extremely problematic, a bit disconcerting and unbecoming, of course. But something to truly unpack, family. So once again, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Hit a 1, put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with the story with Miss Carlee Russell. Put a 2 in the chat if you're unfamiliar with the story regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail. And of course, the question we're seeking to ask this evening is, keyword should, the Black community care? Should there be a care and concern regarding her facing 1 year in jail? So what I'm going to do one more time, family, I'm going to play the video regarding from the CBS affiliate in Birmingham, Alabama. Of course, we know she's from the heart of Dixie, the Yellowhammer State. For many people who are in Alabama, is either Roll Tide or War Eagle. And then, of course, we're going to unpack this issue and what does this mean for the Black community? Should the Black community have a care and or concern? As I said it before, she's facing a fine of up to over $17,000. So something to consider the next time someone wants to, of course, create a fictitious argument that they've been abused. 1 second.
Reporter David Lamb kicking us off live tonight on the story for us. And David, really another surprising turn in this case again today.
Yeah, this has not been without drama for sure. This entire case from the very beginning, Ben, and that continued today. An interesting hearing, this pretrial hearing for misdemeanors gaining a lot of attention. So the headlines from today in Carlee Russell's brief court appearance, Judge Brad Bishop finding the evidence sufficient for a guilty verdict, appealing Carlee Russell's legal team, appealing over the Attorney General's insistence on Carlee Russell serving jail time. Now, we had some video from earlier today. Russell, Emory Anthony, and her legal team, as well as several family members here at the Hoover Municipal Court. Again, Russell pleading not guilty. A number of things were pointed out as far as what has been agreed to and what the Attorney General's office was asking. For instance, that Carlee Russell pay $831 per charge. Also, that she pay $18,000 in restitution. But it was the 6-month jail time that the Attorney General's office is insisting upon that really sparked the appeal. Now, following today's hearing, Emory Anthony, her attorney, was asked how Carlee Russell is doing.
I think she understands what has happened. She has apologized. I know you all said not through me, but that's not good enough. But she has apologized for what transpired. I don't want her to have any type of breakdown or anything of that nature. So we're handling her with kid gloves and trying to make sure her mental state is just fine.
So everything starts all over again. Jay Town, a former federal prosecutor and legal counsel that we often use here at CBS 42, telling me that really everything starts all over, but it will start at the Bessemer Circuit Court. That's where it moves from here, and it is unlikely that that next court proceeding will happen this year, more than likely next year, if at all. In Hoover, David Lamb, CBS 42 News.
All right, family. So you all saw the video. I'm gonna put the link in the chat once again. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Would love to hear you all's thoughts regarding this situation. Right, young woman, black woman, sister, falsifies a story that she, of course, was kidnapped. We know it's unfortunate. A number of black women face these type of issues, and there's not a lot of media fanfare that's given. So that's one thing that we should be looking to unpack. But the link is in the chat, family. We'd love for you all to tap in, be part of conversations. You all know I'm back at it once again. We're back. I know we had about a 3 or 4 month hiatus. We were dealing with some issues with YouTube, but we're back and definitely want to start having some great, intellectually robust conversations. Once again, here on Lumumba Speaks, a Black Empowerment Initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. Also, family, I'm going to share the link. I'm going to push you all to actually subscribe to my Medium account, right? So I'm going to actually hit the share. I'll just put the link in the chat for my Medium account. I'm going to actually share my screen here. So I have an account on Medium, and I've been writing rather frequently. So you could go on, and you don't have to actually pay. You don't have to pay anything. Just sign up, put your email in, and you can actually subscribe, follow me on Medium. And there's a number of great articles that I've written. Dr. Umar Johnson and the Fine Art of Black Male Bashing, Black Consciousness and Erasing of Space, Race, Gender, Sex, and College Football, The Curious Case of Mel Tucker and Brenda Tracy. I think it's a great read. I might even do might do a video on this issue because we know there's a number of issues that he's dealing with after being fired by, of course, Michigan State University. I Am American, Not African American, and Raymond Simone, and the Question of Identity. Unapologetic Blackness is coming and is here to stay. The case of Deion Sanders. This is actually an article that I was actually quoted in CNN. I was quoted by CNN regarding this article. So, and of course, why Marcus Garvey matters. An open letter to hip hop. I used to love her. Play on words there, etc. So, definitely hope you all could tap in. Make sure you go to Medium. Make sure you follow me on Medium. All you need to do is sign up with your email address. Okay. So with that being said, the link is in the chat, family. The link is in the chat. Definitely tap in, be part of the conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail should the Black community have a care or concern, put a 1 in the chat if you are cognizant and familiar with the situation regarding Carlee Russell. Put a 2 in the chat if you've been under a rock and you have not heard about this situation. So definitely want you all to tap in and be part of the conversation. I don't want to do all the talking. I've been talking all day, taught 2 classes today. And so definitely want to get you all's thoughts on this situation. I know it's rather bizarre. Many people still can't wrap their head around why this sister chose to fabricate and falsify a story that she was kidnapped. But for whatever the reason, I think it's something that we can unpack and something I think we should discourage. As I said before, we know we are attacked in every way, shape, and form in this country. And I don't think we want to make light or manufacture or fabricate situations when we are lucky enough or fortunate enough not to have faced these type of issues. So definitely want everyone to tap in, be part of the conversation. Make sure you follow me on Medium, but also make sure you hit the link, tap in to be part of the convo, and make sure you smash that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and share. You're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube. We're seeking to have a conversation regarding Carlee Russell being sentenced to 1 year in jail, and should the Black community have a care or concern regarding her being sentenced to 1 year in jail. So once again, family, if not, we're going to tap out. So I definitely hope you all can tap in, be part of the conversation. Once again, you do not have to cam up. So if there's a concern about maybe you have a public facing job, or you don't want to share your political views or personal thoughts, you don't have to cam up, and you can use a pseudonym. You don't have to use your actual name. You can use a pseudonym or alias and tap in and be part of the conversation. But make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Make sure you follow me on Medium, where I publish on a regular basis about a number of issues that I believe are pertinent to the global African community. So once again, family, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. So tap in, be part of the conversation. You're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe, keyword, where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. All right. So no one's tapping in, so we're going to tap out. But once again, if you did come on and watch, appreciation, make sure you're part of the conversation next time. Peace.